And we're back again with another two coaches, one Grizz. This time, unfortunately, minus one coach. We don't have Mr. Morales. He is full into his actual head coaching duties where he coaches young men into warriors. And only our coach, or our coach Gil over here, knows exactly what's happening since he himself coached young Morales once upon a time and shares that knowledge. So he knows that our fellow coaches is in the weeds right now.
Knees deep. Knees deep. But we're going to leave it at knees deep.
Yeah. So we need to give him a little break because, as always, we start our weekly conversation with Deshaun Watson. And there's really not much that our other coach here can chime in because we're not going to talk about his actual possible suspension, which is still looming.
Still waiting.
He will be out the first 6. We know that. It's just, do we know extra games or what will come from it? We're going to talk about the fact that the guy actually played for the first time in almost 2 years. Went 1 for 5 with 7 yards, just burning up the field, just what we thought. But in all honesty, a guy 2 years coming from where he came from, kind of, we knew what was going to happen. I mean, what else can you say to this? What did you see from this?
But my biggest takeaway, my biggest question is, why did they play him? What was there to gain? Are you not putting yourself in a worse situation? Mm-hmm. Again, because the fans were going crazy. The fans had signs. Everybody was wonderful.
I mean, this is first
guys
of all,
were asking for massages.
It's going to happen if it's his first game.
Do you have any oils on you?
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
There was a great chant going on. Fantastic chant.
Yes, there was. Yes,
sometimes the fans know more than the people who play the music. But I'll tell you why. I think he needed to get some kind of playing time, maybe even more than what he got. Because, he's not going to play the first 6 games or therefore. And if he's going to play, we just need you need to throw him out there.
But Grizz, if he's playing in the controlled scrimmages against other teams, because they're doing that a lot lately, and a lot of the coaches have voiced and said that those practices are even better than the whole preseason game, because in the preseason game you don't want to get the guy hurt, but it's a controlled scrimmage situation. They're able to see them play, able to play against other competition, good competition, and you get that what you're talking about. So again, my whole why upset the NFL more? Why put him out there to play when he's technically already suspended 6 games? He's gonna get more. Why? I don't know. Why put that out there? I think other players I've seen in the past that had a suspension coming up, they still get a little time in the preseason. They get a little play. I think, like I said, just get him out there. Get the signs. Let's get the chant out of the way. It was going to happen first game. It's probably still going to happen. Obviously, it's first regular season road game. Every away game. All right. Every single away game.
But let's just get it out of the way.
It's going to be blow-up dolls. There's going to be baby oil. There's going to be signs. There's going to be so much.
I can't wait to see the creativity from...
Listen, I'm ready to buy the NFL package just so I can see that guy at away games. That's going to be amazing.
If he actually does,
if he plays this,
if he gets to play at all,
he's going to get Houston Astros treatment.
Let me tell you though. I think basically, once again, you got to give him a little taste. I think you even play him more. That was my opinion. Just like I said, I need to see him at least get a taste, so that when he comes back, it's not his first. And you said those scrimmages have been the last couple of weeks. We've been getting some other scrimmages that have been very heated. Some people
today we had some fights.
We had some fights today.
The Carolina Panthers, the New England Patriots got into a little.
When we get into the division talk, the Panthers, getting Christian McCaffrey in some kind of fracas. We don't need that because that man gets hurt already
from breathing.
The year, just regular stuff. Now, I'm okay with him playing. You're not. That's fine. Is he going to play next week?
Again, I don't know.
Because next week is your. I got to show our number one with the team probably half the game.
Right. Next week is a half. Mm-hmm. Next week is what used to be the third game.
Correct.
So again, I mean, for me, I would give the other guy who's gonna get the majority of the reps to start the season to play.
So then you don't play him. Obviously, the last one.
I would not play Deshaun at all. Right. I would try to keep him on ice just to make it look right. Is the other side of it for me. Look, we're behaving. We're being good guys. We're being good people. We don't want to, we don't want to put ourselves in a bad position. That's just like I said. I just think that would be the best way to go about it. But again, if that's the road they've decided to take.
I still believe they will play him because it's at home. So you're going to want at least the home crowd to get a little taste. Maybe we won't get
and see how they react.
I mean, you'll probably still get some chance from the small amount of people. Well, they're playing the Jets, so yeah, Jet fans kind of rude. Now,
yeah, the Jets are another team. Their quarterback.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the second game of the season. I apologize. See,
okay. Because the Jets are also making their quarterbacks making dumb decisions.
This is the same thing pretty much. Home against the Eagles. So Philly fans, just as rowdy, just as fun.
Yes.
So we'll probably get some love there. I don't think, the week after they have a home game against the Bears, you don't play him there, and then that's it. He sits until Goodell, they already sent it to the other judge. We wait on that.
We'll see what the new judge says.
We've
discussed.
You say a year.
Yes. Yeah. We've touched upon that, and we've both agreed. We've both agreed that the 12 would have been ideal, but they turned it down. So I don't think they're going to give them 12 again. That's why I say 12.
That is the problem. When you turn down the deal, you lose the deal.
You lose the deal.
So now you have to suffer.
You're going to get them again.
1 year.
Correct.
Yeah, it might end up being the year. All right. Well, that's it for the NFL talk right now. There's not much.
Well, right. We're moving right on.
We're going to move on to the division talk. There's not much, I don't really like to touch up on the preseason games because really did we learn anything? Teams that usually go winless have a great season. Doesn't matter.
The only team that matters in preseason is the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Because that's a team that John Harbaugh likes to win preseason games, and you bet them. That's the only reason. Every other team is a crapshoot.
The only team I don't want to see in the preseason is the IR team. And that's the problem. I don't want to see anybody hurt. Obviously, for reasons outside of our show, for fantasy purposes.
Correct.
But just to see good football. I don't like seeing great players get hurt. So let's avoid that. Now, we're going to go into our division talk. And we're going into the NFC South, which as of right now, it looks like, once again, Tampa and the rest of them. However, there is we're going to start right off the top with the Panthers. Because forget Christian McCaffrey. I need to talk about Mayfield and Darnold. This is the biggest thing in this division right now, the quarterback challenge duel right here.
The battle of the quarterback. I think the guy who's going to take the job, Mayfield, from him. He started this week. It didn't look too good. Darnold had a touchdown coming in for him. But I just think you get more out of Mayfield. You got a more overall. He has a little bit more running, I think. He has the chip on his shoulder. They're both quarterbacks that came from other places that are trying to make a name for themselves again. Darnold was there last year. If he was that good, I think he would have already been showing that he was going to take the spot. So I don't know what you think on this one. Again, looking at some of the facts and some of the things that are going on. Number one, last year, the games that they did win, they won against teams whose quarterbacks were not very good. Mm-hmm. So therefore, their defense is going to go up against some stiffer competition this year. They're going to give up more points. Their weeks 1 through 7, they play the second most difficult schedule of opponents in the NFL. So again, the first 7 weeks are going to be rocky. I don't see a whole lot of wins there. If they can maybe muster a 2-5, 3-4 situation, then perhaps they can build off of that and go forwards into the second half of the season and get themselves into a better position.
Yeah, from the looks of it, home against the Browns, yes, the Browns should be. They are favored, I'm assuming, right? But the non-quarterback,
that would be a toss-up. That game's going to be a toss-up. That's a toss-up game.
At New York Giants second. They could start out realistically 2-0. But after that, home against the Saints, home against the Cardinals, home against the Niners. So you got 3 home games in a row, which is to their favor. But I still think that...
But the defenses that they're playing...
Yeah. The Saints, like you said, should be better. You got Arizona early. They're always good. San Francisco, juggernaut. And then you got the Rams, the Bucks. You got Atlanta, the Bengals after that, Atlanta again. But yeah, their start is going to be important to go 2-0, but
Correct. And again, to me, even against Cleveland, Cleveland is a better team.
No, they are.
Even with a backup quarterback, they're a better team. Offensive line-wise, running, they're a better football team. So, again, that game to me is a toss-up. Mm-hmm. The Giants is an away game at New York. We'll see what Brian Daboll can do. So, even if they go 1-1, 0, they might, again,
they could go from 0-2 because they themselves are not that good of a team.
So that's my issue with them.
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot of mobility with that. Even with Baker playing, I don't think they have great weapons as far as receivers are concerned, and things of that nature.
I mean, it boils down to once the quarterback situation is resolved, we need a healthy McCaffrey for the whole year to even have a shot.
Right, but again, even with McCaffrey makes their running backs a top 10 unit in the league, but their quarterbacks are way low. Offensive line is mediocre. Receivers. So again, that is why, to me, I don't even see them sniffing 500. If they win 6 games, they're lucky.
You have them finishing last?
In that division, yes. In that division, I do.
I'm going to agree with you there. I don't see anything more than 6 or 7 wins as well.
It's definitely between them and the Falcons. Mm-hmm. The Falcons and them will be playing each other.
I think we're good with the Panthers moving to the Falcons. I like they have better talent. Once again, our quarterback situation. Another quarterback's coming from a couple teams now. High pick. Is he worth another shot? He has the mobility. He's still young, but does Mariota have the tools necessary to be a winning quarterback?
The issue with those guys and the issue with Atlanta, as good as an offensive coordinator as their head coach was with Tennessee, Arthur Smith leans too much on the running game early in downs. He doesn't put enough on the plate with the quarterbacks. So again, he doesn't have a Henry here. He doesn't have an offensive line like he did at Tennessee. And yet he continues to run on first and second down at a very huge pace. So he puts himself in third and long.
Of course.
And you, again, like you just alluded to, you don't have the quarterback. You had a half-decent quarterback with Matt Ryan. Now you've lost that. You've got a Mariota who's never really panned out anywhere he's been to be a good starter. Are you going to put that much on his plate? Is that what you're going to do there? Do you really see yourself throwing the ball as much with him if you didn't do it with Matt Ryan? And again, and their schedule is also another one that is early on very, very difficult.
Could be 2-5, 1-6 early. You got New Orleans at home. Winnable because it's the first game. We don't know yet what we're seeing out of New Orleans. But then you got the Rams.
Listen, at worst case scenario with New Orleans, you have a great defense.
Yes.
Their defense, they're
going to keep them in games.
They hired the defensive coordinator. Yep. So, again, they've got a good defense. Their offense should be decent. They get some pieces back. Mm-hmm. So, to me, they're gonna beat Atlanta without a problem. And Atlanta faces the 9th toughest schedule. I'm sorry, the league's most difficult schedule of opposing defenses. Because when you go down you've got the Rams defense, New Orleans defense. Seattle's defense kept them in games last year as well, as bad as they are. Tampa Bay's defense is solid. San Francisco's defense.
Of course.
Cincinnati's a bend-don't-break defense. They play the Chargers. The Chargers should be better this year. So again, we're back to those games against the Carolina Panthers, the Bears, the Redskins. The Redskins defense should be better this year. They should be a little bit better offensively, even though they do have a great quarterback at keeping other teams in the game.
Right.
So the Pittsburgh defense, again, is another defense that should be in a good position.
This is, as I look at the schedule, I'm thinking I might have to move them down.
That's why I said it's
because I see like 5 wins here,
and that's where their win total is at.
You know, it ends up being who wins between Carolina and the Falcons in their matchups, which will probably be battling for.
And their last 4 games of the season is away at New Orleans, away at Baltimore, home against Arizona, home against Tampa Bay.
Nope, not looking.
So
good.
that doesn't look good to end the season there.
Once again, if they themselves improve, some of these games can flip into their favor. But as of now, I don't see 5 to 6 wins max. Yeah, this is
like I said.
This is just gonna be a cakewalk for the Bucks.
The head coach. Well, I don't know about that. I do.
I know you're gonna give me a little bit of the Saints love because you've been loving the Saints so far, and now we can move into said Saints.
I think they're in a good position because I think teams are going to overlook them. Okay. Talking about Tampa Bay a little bit. Tampa Bay is aging a little bit. They are getting older.
They are.
Okay. Don't forget one of the Tampa receivers is coming off of an injury. So again, it doesn't say the other guy can't get hurt.
No, of course not.
So there's a lot there.
But we brought on Julio at least.
I don't think Julio is. I mean, he can.
He will be better than he was in Tennessee.
But I don't think he's going to give you what you need if one of those other guys goes down.
You got Mike Evans.
Yes.
Like you said, Godwin's coming back. We don't know yet.
Correct.
They have, they utilize the running game out of the backfield as a passing threat with Fournette. Do they still have, what was the other back that they had?
No, he's gone. Jones is gone.
All right. They still have Brady. And that at the end of the day, until that guy disintegrates in the middle of the football field,
no.
I can't bet against this guy.
No, I'm not saying that. Okay.
And the thing is,
you made a statement of a cakewalk.
Because
I can't say it's a cakewalk.
Because two other teams in their division might not win but 6 games. Right. And yes, the Saints, when they go up against the Bucks, have had their number. I will give you that. The problem is they still have Jameis Winston as their quarterback.
Yes.
And I can't sanely say Jameis Winston will win this division over the Bucks and Tom Brady. And I still think they win by 2 or 3 games over the Saints, even if they lose 1 or 2 games to the Saints. Because they'll win the majority of their games. The Saints will lose most of their games, even with that defense, I believe. Because you still have Jameis Winston.
I do think that Jameis Winston will be better.
You do.
I do. I don't think you're going to see the 33 interception, 30 touchdown Jameis Winston. I think he's finally got contacts. I think his vision is better. Okay. He's been in the system now 2 or 3 years. And again, the Sean Payton system is one that I think, even though Sean Payton's not there, even though he's not there, but his system, I think,
feel more comfortable if it was Sean Payton.
I get it, but I still think his system is there. So with that being said, I think that they have enough weapons to help him. I think they have the running backs, even though Alvin Kamara, again, is also getting a little older.
They do have a lot of weapons.
I do think that it's different than what it was in Tampa Bay.
He had weapons in Tampa Bay.
I know. But again, in Tampa, I think it was a different situation because it was all on his shoulders. See, they brought in Brady.
Right.
They put it all on Brady's shoulders. Brady can do that. Here,
we need to ease you in a little bit. Everybody but he needs to take a leap.
Correct.
To become
a
division-winning quarterback,
no doubt.
playoff-winning quarterback.
Again, I'm not saying they're going to win the division.
You just love their defense that much.
I think that defensively they're going to be a tough opponent.
They're going to be a tough opponent.
I think that Jameis will give them enough to be able to compete. That's what I'm saying.
Let me check out the schedule.
Do I think Tampa Bay will win? Yes, I do think Tampa Bay will win the division unless Brady gets hurt.
It's just not comfortable, like I said.
Correct. I don't think it's a cakewalk. I think they're gonna have their battle with New Orleans.
It's a cakewalk then. How about that? It's a small.
Again,
cake.
I think their battle with New Orleans is going to be good. It's going to be important.
We're going to know right off the bat. They play the first 3 games, their division opponents at the Falcons, home against the Bucks at Carolina. So right off the bat, they're going to get a taste.
Now
they have a more favorable.
They've also
start.
added. Okay, Chris Olave from Ohio State, who I think is going to be a good playmaker for them. They picked up Jarvis Landry, and Michael Thomas is back from his injury. So again, I think that they have enough weapons where they can challenge Tampa Bay and give them a run for their money in that division. And Jameis, as I said, needs to be better at dumping the ball off, be better at not forcing it. That's his biggest issue. Is that he loves to just sling it and put it in the most uncomfortable. Correct. Yes. He's a gunslinger. He is a gunslinger. No doubt. And before he got hurt last year, I think he was playing better. I think he looked better. I thought he played well in the 3 or 4 games that he played in until he blew out his knee. Mm-hmm. And as you alluded to with their defense, I think their defense was going to put them in better positions than where he was before.
Well, that first game against the Bucks to me is going to be the big one.
Of course,
it's
week two, baby.
Home. I think the Bucks really are zeroing in on payback because they're like, look, we've been taking care of the rest of the league, and how can we continually be manhandled by these Saints? So I think they're coming in extra hot.
I may take the under in that one. I'm not sure. That's one of those you got to think about.
Well, we got to see how
what's going to happen.
Week ones, but yeah, the under looks pretty good on that. I like the schedule. I mean, they play Minnesota. It's in London. You got the Seahawks after that. Bengals at home. At the Cardinals, home against the Vikings. It starts getting
the Raiders at home.
It starts getting a little dicier after that. We have.
They got a tough 3-week stretch. 11 through 13.
Rams, Bucks.
San Francisco.
No, Rams, San Francisco, Bucks.
And then they close out again with three teams
Eagles.
that you could they could go 3-1 of those last 4 games. So again, I do think they
I see 9 again. I see a same record as last year, 9-8 out of this schedule. Maybe 10 because the other teams are weak. So maybe they pick up one like that, but I don't know. I can't. A whole season of Jameis Winston has yet to been seen that he could do that. 30 less. I don't know.
Didn't he win a national?
20 would be a miracle to me.
Didn't he win a national championship?
He did win a national championship. Why you bring that up, man?
Because the guy wasn't that bad. The guy can play. The guy can play some ball.
It's college, though, man. A lot of people in college.
I get it. But the kid can play some.
A lot of people in college are amazing in college.
I understand, but the kid can play some ball. The guy, in the right situation and circumstance, the guy can play some ball. So we'll see what happens.
He also took some crabs in college.
Yeah, yes, he did, and he did a couple things, and Uber drivers and things like that.
He did things.
Correct.
There's another guy that's done things.
Correct.
Here we are.
But I think he got over him in college when you're supposed to, instead of later on.
Do your deeds in your college years, right?
That's the time as you sow your wild oats. Is that what they say?
Well, that's true.
And then we go Tampa Bay.
Now we come into a man that has sowed many of oats.
Yes.
I mean, he has so many oats sowed. He has 3 different Hall of Fame careers, probably, if you can think about that. But Tom Brady, GOAT. I hate saying that, but it's the truth.
He's earned it.
Anytime you can, you get to that status where it doesn't matter you played for my hated rival, I completely respect everything about your game because you are the best. He is still around at 45 years old. He is going to give it a go. You have said a couple less weapons. He lost his tight end, his brother, Gronk. He did lose. I mean, he had already lost half of them already. Brown last year.
Oh, please.
When he did what he did. He gained Julio Jones, which I have told you, and you say he's not the old Julio. I don't need the old Julio.
What I'm saying is
he's kind of a hybrid tight end now.
What I'm saying is that they all need to stay healthy.
Correct.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Once and for all, if they're a healthy team year round, this is another 12-win season. The Bucks are just, to me, I think they're just loaded because of Brady. When I said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't matter who's catching the ball for this guy. But it does matter because he even now that you mentioned now
him,
I did. There was a little story Rodgers went off.
He said that they're having trouble.
But I like that. I like that he said that because he says it right now.
Okay.
He's like, hey guys, listen, you gotta start catching. Say it now because when the season starts, these guys are gonna turn into Pro Bowlers.
All right.
Because when you have greatness, you expect that. Okay.
Or he gets frustrated and he turns them all off.
It could be that.
Not that he's ever done that before.
Not that he's ever done.
Moving right along.
Now, having said that, we still got, they brought in who else? Gage. You got Russell Gage here. Who's on the wide receiver depth chart? Let's see. I'm looking at the people who are not playing this week. I'm sorry.
You're doing that a lot lately.
I know. See, this is more of a Frank Morales move.
Yes, I see that.
He likes all the stat stuff. I just like.
Yeah, they brought in Russell Gage.
See, we do miss you, Frankie.
A receiver. They brought him in. As you said, they signed Julio.
Yeah, and of course, Godwin has to come back healthy. Luckily, these guys come back from these injuries so quickly nowadays that he should be fine. This team's healthy, man. I mean, Mike Evans is going to have a bounce back year, I believe. All those, now no Gronk, he'll probably pick up that. He had 74 catches last year. I think that'll be 90 this year. I mean, like I said, I think Julio's going to get his touchdowns back. That's the problem. Julio wasn't getting any red zone looks the last couple of years. I think Brady's gonna love finding this big guy for the red zone. I just think they're gonna have a lot of meetings.
I think that Brady needs to have or become better acquainted with his tight end there, and the tight end has to make a better play. Just because he loves his tight ends.
He loves his tight ends, and he'll give the tight ends some love.
But what I'm saying is, the tight end needs to make sure that he is able to make plays and gets there, because Gronk was huge for Brady, and that's something he's not going to have.
No. But even with Gronk, he's always utilized the two tight ends.
Right, but what happens is, because Gronk would take coverage, and he's able to get to the other guys. With that being said, the offensive line has lost two other guards, so they're replacing two guards. Is on the team? I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm looking. It says Kyle Rudolph's on the depth chart.
They're replacing two guards, which again they drafted for the position. Mm. So they should be in good shape. Early on, it might take some time for them to gel, but that's important. Their defense also is solid. They're good on all phases. Front seven and secondary, very good. I also have an issue with their head coach. Don't know where he's going to go. No. Don't know how he's going to take things. I liked Bruce Arians. I thought Bruce Arians did a very good job of dealing with the team, dealing with adversity. Great experience. I don't know where Bowles takes them.
Yeah, I'm here. They got Bernard on the roster for the backs. You're right with the coaching. That's my only question. How is he going to lead the team? I think he's going to still, like you were saying about Payton with the Saints, I think some of the Aryan kind of ways will stick around. Maybe when Brady's gone, he'll start going and coaching his own path. But it'll stay that kind of system, because I think Brady's basically your coordinator on the field anyway.
I mean, he has a good relationship with his office coordinator. Yeah. I think him and Byron Leftwich have done a good job of mixing things up.
That's why with Leftwich still being there, we're fine.
If they throw the ball early downs again, they'll find success. Mm-hmm. I do think even with Fournette, they need to find that next running back in that position to help them, because I don't think Fournette can take the whole load of running back. So we'll see how that works out. I believe that they have a rookie, Rashad White from Arizona State, picked him up in the 3rd round. So they definitely are the favorites to win. They are favored in 15 games.
I will say their schedule to start looks daunting. The first 4 games.
Correct. It eases up a little bit in the middle.
Not surprised if it's 2-2. I expect 3-1, but not surprised if it's 2-2. But even with it being 2-2, I still think they can run a good amount of games after that, because Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Carolina, even the Baltimore game at home, the Rams being at home obviously will be a test, but they match up well there. It's at home. Right. And then Seattle, you're going overseas for that game. And then you have your bye week. I think that they can go 5-1 in that stretch. Then you come off the bye. Really, only games that worry me here are also the at San Fran. Anything with New Orleans, we'll give them a little worry.
It's a division game, so they know always each other. It's going to be tough.
The Bengals being at home, I think that's one of those where I think they win. At Arizona, depending on the Arizona slump when that starts, if it happens. But I think they finish pretty strong, and that's why I still think they can go 12-5 even with that schedule, because that start is daunting. But if you go 3-1, they could go 4-0. You got Brady. Anything's possible.
Correct.
But
again, they play at Green Bay, but it's early, so the weather's not a factor.
No, they play at home. Yep.
I'm sorry, you're right.
It's at Dallas, at New Orleans. So they start the first 2 on the road. But like I said, Dallas to me, I don't care where you play Dallas.
No, I think there's going to be a regression as far as turnovers with them.
Exactly.
So I think that they'll be able to win that.
The at New Orleans is the tough one because it's at New Orleans and they have their number. And then home games against Green Bay and Kansas City, you're home at least. So I think that's where you have that. And yeah, then like I said, after that, the Falcons. It's that stretch in the middle is where they should just get the bad points. And I think the Seattle game's in Germany. If I know one of the games was going to be in Germany this year.
Well, Seattle to me, wherever you play them, they're
exactly.
not very.
I mean,
it's a lock.
You got to go to Germany to kick some little Seattle.
It's going to be a lock.
That's going to be easy.
It's going to be a lock.
I would go on the over for the team there.
So that does it for our NFC South. We'll take a short break, and then we'll come back with some NCAA football, the Pac-12.
And we're back with some Pac-12 talk. We have 2 weeks to go before college football starts. Next week, we'll finish it off with the mighty SEC. But for now, we have to talk about the Pac-12, a conference that in a year or two will be losing 2 of its main members.
Pac-10.
And who knows what's going to be left of that conference after, all the other teams start dipping. Because if you're going to lose USC and UCLA, I mean, who's going to be in the Big Ten? What a world. But as we're still in there.
Stanford's a great program. Stanford's a great team.
Yeah. As whatever you got to do, it's the Harvard of the West, right?
The Harvard of the West.
I'm not gonna be honest. I like my college football, but I'm not a Pac-12 guy. Like all Easterners, we don't really care too much about the West. These games start way too late. We're starting to go to sleep earlier these days.
As a degenerate that I am, I love
this is why
all over
this
the
not
country
only,
football.
No, this is what I thought. Not only does our coach Gil love himself some Pac-12, this is probably where he gets some of his best deals in the West Coast because it's where everybody sleeps on him. But he's not sleeping on this league. Talk to me, Gil.
Nobody pays attention. Well,
Nobody
first of all, I think as much as the talk has been about USC, their new coach, their new quarterback, all these new toys that they've brought in, I still think that Utah is the number 1 team in that division.
They are ranked 7 in the AP poll.
I do think that Coach Willingham does a great job with them. Their defense is year in and year out unbelievably talented. They just had a couple guys drafted this year, one of the best linebackers in the first round. Again, they have a really, really great defense. And for years, their offense has been the one that has not brought it all the way to the table. Last year, they found themselves a quarterback. They found this young man rising. He's a stud. He's a baller. And they've got some weapons. They can put some points on the board, and they can stop you from scoring.
So we got a stud QB, put points on the board, and a phenomenal defense. Sounds pretty good to me.
Again, they've got a good first test against Florida. Mm-hmm. I think they beat Florida. They're going to be at away. They're going to be in the swamp, if I'm not mistaken.
They're playing this game at the swamp?
I believe so. I think they play at Florida. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that's how you got to make yourself a championship team. And
you're playing on the road against an SEC power, whether they are a power this year or not. They're a name brand
The name brand, which you've mentioned before. And it puts them in a position, if they're able to run the table, you're looking at maybe sneaking into the playoffs.
Something I always like to mention that some people forget, these games are made 6 to 7 years in advance. So whether teams, because I always hear, especially, when we talk about our Canes, these games, you make them with advanced timing, knowing that these programs are good. So whether the teams, regress it's unfortunate sometimes.
That's out of your hands.
So the fact that they have a game set up at Florida, I love it. I really have never seen Utah play anywhere near Florida, so it'd be nice to see what they can bring to the table. Because I agree. I've heard only good things about the team. In fact, going to USC, I heard they're overrated with that ranking. Too high because of the name, because of the coach that they got, the transfer that they got. But once again, prove it.
I feel that way. I feel that they are, at this moment, I think they're getting too much love and too much credit. I do think, like in most team sports, you need time to gel. You need time to come together to become a good football team and to know each other. Your quarterback has to get a good feel for his O-line, his receivers, everything like that. Again, it's a lot of change. I do think USC will be, once again, a marquee program.
Well, they do have the coach that will bring them there.
And they're going to have the players.
I always compare USC, selfishly, to Miami of the West because you have a team that's located in a major city with that brand. The name is what's getting them all the pub. Everybody wants USC back. It's good for college football to have the USC Trojans be a good program.
Agreed.
But right now, relax, guys. We got the new coach, new thing. They'll be back. When they play a team like Utah, I think they'll be exposed. And
well, I think the battle against quite a few of the teams on their schedule will do that.
Well,
the next team that I'll go over, and it's because number one, it's where our head football coach from
the Ducks,
Miami, left, and he did leave them stacked. I do think they made a great hire. They made a great hire in Dan Lanning, the former defensive coordinator at Georgia. I think that he is one of those guys that is a great recruiter, is going to make things happen, and I really think that he hit at a great spot. I think he made some good hires. He's got a nice OC, who he brought him in from Florida State. Mm-hmm. Guy's got some good experience running RPOs and different things. And I think that offense is gonna click well. And I think that with Lanning running the defense and doing what he does and coming with a pedigree that he has on that side of the ball, I think they're gonna be a solid team. I really like them.
I think they finish with Utah actually at home, second to last game. That's gonna be huge. They should be by far the best team to come out of the northern part of the Pac-12. So they should,
and that's the reason I talked about them first, other than the other team that I have up there as the second team overall in the Pac-12, because again I think they'll be playing Utah for the Pac-12 championship, and again I really think that it's a very, very, again, the hire I think was a great hire.
Yeah,
picked them up at the right time. The guy, like I said, he's a great recruiter because a lot of the guys that have been playing at Georgia over the last 3 or 4 years were recruited by
Mr. But if you think about it, Oregon has now become that program in the last couple decades that they are the team in the Pac-12 when you think of the better team, where you want to go. You know, it started with the cool clothes. You know, they started the uniform craze, but they started getting good coaches, good players, and they keep getting the good coaches once another coach leaves. And like you said, this guy's coming in with a stacked team. So I think they do win their portion. They should rematch against Utah, and if that's the case, it's one of those where you played the team a couple weeks before the championship, so that'll be interesting. But so then, who would be your next team? That
to be honest with you, and I know I'm gonna surprise some people, but I really, really like what Chip Kelly's doing.
Yep, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
With the UCLA Bruins. Mm-hmm. I think the Bruins are also another team that comes back well situated. Their quarterback is going to be there for his 4th year, if I'm not mistaken. He is a stud quarterback. I think he makes that offense run. I think they'll be able to do some good things. My only concerns, again, are with their defense. Their defense needs to hold up to be able to keep them up there at second behind Utah. I think Chip does a great job coaching. I think he'll do a little more speed up this year. And again, I really think that they're going to start averaging 34 points a game.
When they play Utah, they should be 5-0.
Correct.
That schedule's cake up to that. That game against Utah probably be a primetime game and could prove themselves, which right after that will be at Oregon. Luckily, they get a break.
They have a bye, correct.
So that'd be good because that's the type of game that you beat Utah. And you probably
it's going to be a physical game.
No, I'm saying you go against an Oregon team the week after, you probably lose that, but having the break might help if that happens. But
and again, it's going to be a physical game, so you need that bye to rest up and get ready.
They got a chance if they can do some upsetting there.
Again,
they could run the table.
He's brought in his defensive coordinator that worked with him a few years back, gentleman by the name of Bill McGovern. So again, we're gonna see how their defense works out. Their D-line and secondary has a lot of turnover. So that is the one question mark that I have with them. I do think that he has a great opportunity to move UCLA back to where they need to be. Another team, and it's going to be another surprise name before I even get to USC, is Oregon State.
I knew that one was coming too.
The Beavers.
I had the Beavers on my mind. Who doesn't have a Beaver on their mind, right?
You know what? I'm so glad. That's why you and I get along so well.
There you go.
Beavers on the mind. Yep. As I was saying, the Oregon Beavers. They are a team that I think also has a lot of production coming back. Their head coach has done a phenomenal job with them. Recruiting. Their quarterback is a solid kid. I mean, it's just a situation where...
They're the type of team that I've been seeing yearly are picked to go second to last, third to last, and they always end up strong. And it's because of that coach. You're absolutely right.
Jonathan Smith has come in, and I mean, he's done a great job. He's got things going. He's got a good defense. He changed his defense after 2 games or 3 games last year, and that's what made the switch and got them going in the right direction. Their offense is putting up points. They should, again, their quarterback comes back. They have a ton of talent, good receivers. Their defense also should be pretty good. It has the second lowest amount of loss of players. So again, I do think that they're going to be another one of those. They're going to be top 3 or 4 in the Pac-12. If it wasn't for Utah and Oregon, you could mention Oregon State as possibly playing for the Pac-12 championship for the first time in any of our lives. Because to be honest with you, Oregon State's always sucked as long as I've been alive.
They have, but they've made some BCS bowls in the last couple,
No, he's
years.
Had
they just
them,
haven't won the actual.
Correct.
Conference.
He's had them bowling. They've been a competitive team.
Yeah.
They've been a competitive team. But again, when we're talking college football, being 6-6.
You're right.
Doesn't make you 7-6. Doesn't put
they had a couple years ago. They were in a BC. They had double-digit wins. I remember the Erickson years. They had a year where they destroyed Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. Like, they're a team that once in a blue moon, you kind of hear them. But yes, they would be a little bit of surprise to win it all. So, now, you still haven't really touched up on USC. I want to go real quick. What do you think of the Sun Devils?
Man, I'm going to be honest.
You think you're going to regress on them?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm very, very... First of all, and it's not about what happened last year. It's what's happened to the staff and the players. Yeah. They've had mass exodus. All their great or good ball players are gone.
That's terrible.
So they're reloading on those kids. They're not getting the top recruits. Half of their staff has been fired because of recruiting allegations, et cetera, et cetera. So again, sadly, this was a team that would have been, if not for those situations there.
Because last year they were a very high level.
They played well, but then they fell down at the end.
Yep.
And again, I think all these things were already in motion towards the last 4 weeks of the season. They started the season really well. I was very high on them. Yep. We talked about them here, and they just fell off the cliff. And again, sadly, Herman Edwards has so much rebuilding to do this year. Yeah. That again, they might be able to stay in some games close.
At this point in his coaching there, he should have already had that team where they don't need a rebuilding.
This would have been
exactly.
This would have been his team. This would have been the year where he challenges. Yep. Okay, and it would have been a perfect storm.
I'm a big Herm fan, and yeah,
you have USC, and you have USC changing coaches again. You have the whole thing in Oregon changing coaches. So he would have been one of the guys that was a stalwart. Would have been. With his program coming back, all those seniors, would have been a good position. So I'm not very high on USC, to be quite honest with you. I have them down about 7th.
Well, ASU, you mean?
I'm sorry, ASU, Arizona State. I have them down about 7th or 8th. I do think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, that was the only other team that, I was looking at here because of their promise from last year. I didn't know they were as, like I said, not tapped into the Pac-12 as much. So I wanted to hear, we hadn't heard from them. I wanted to see what was up because everybody else, I think, that was it. You had named your sleeper, I think, in Oregon State. UCLA as the team that better than a sleeper, but under the tier of the top two. But now we go to the team where the hype is, USC.
The USC
What do you
Trojans
think is the true USC Trojan team this year?
I mean, again, I think they're going to be exciting.
They're definitely not 4-8 like last year.
No. They're again. I do think they'll win 8 or 9 games. I don't see them being a 10-11 win season for them. I do think they're going to have their struggles. They're going to have their growing pains. They're going to start out hot against Rice and Stanford. They're going to play a really good Fresno State team in week 3. That's an over game. Fresno State with Tedford coming back. That's going to be a phenomenal game.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just noticing. I think they changed the division setup. I think it's all one conference, so it doesn't matter if you're north or south.
Okay.
So that's different. If UCLA were to be better than Oregon, and it could be UCLA Utah now for the championship.
So if that's the case, and that's where we're at, and I do apologize if that is the case.
No,
because I've been diving into each team and taking a look at what they're doing.
That's the first I see of it. I'm just looking at it right now. I think they just changed it this year.
But again, I do think that after week 3, they've got a couple of tough games with Fresno State, Oregon State. They're going to play Arizona State, Washington State. They play at Utah, which is going to be the tough game.
Yep.
They have a bye. They play at Arizona. Arizona's not going to be great, but they are going to be much improved. They play Colorado, and they play at UCLA and finish the season at Notre Dame. So that's why I say they could have.
They play at home against Notre Dame.
They could have 2 or 3 losses on the season. Yeah. I see them as an 8 or 9 win team. Yeah, and again, they're loaded. They're loaded. They've got a great. They brought in a great receiver from Pittsburgh.
The Stanford game, because it's always Stanford gives them
correct gives them a hard time.
The Oregon State, because it's the road. Utah road. Everything else, I think, is a shot because even though UCLA is a road game, it's in their neighborhood.
All right, but again, it's at UCLA. It's at the so it should be. As I said, there's 3 or 4 games here that could give them problems.
I still think a 9-win season is not out of the question.
So they are on the fast track to get back. I do think that they'll be contending soon, but I do think that this year, again, defensively, I don't think they're up to snuff. Mm-hmm. So the teams like a UCLA that can score a lot of points, right. A Utah team that can beat you up. Like I said,
will they be able to outscore opponents?
I'm going to tell you right now, Fresno State's going to be a really, really good football game.
Over.
Take a look at it. Watch it. We'll be diving into that one as we get closer. They've got a great quarterback. Their quarterback was really good. He had put in for the transfer portal to follow his coach to Washington. But he stayed because Tedford took over, and Tedford was the one who recruited him.
Right.
So Fresno State's going to be a good team. And again, another team that's going to be up and coming in the Pac-12. They're going to be top heavy in the next couple of years. It's going to be Washington. They hired the Boers, who used to be over at Fresno, did a nice job there for 3 years. He takes over a Washington Huskies program that I think is going to, they're going to again move up.
They need some revitalization.
They do. Ever since.
It's crazy that they were in the playoffs a few years ago and they just.
Well, the thing is that with Peterson leaving, the old Boise State coach, he retired. They thought they had given the job to the right guy, and he was horrible. And they had no offense last year. With this coach, he's more an offensive-minded coach.
In a couple of years, they'll take over the conference anyway because they'll be losing to the. They brought in
the quarterback that was at Indiana last year. He was his offensive coordinator at Indiana 2 years ago when the kid had a great year.
Right.
So again, that puts them in the mix to win a few games and makes them more exciting on offense. They're always good on defense. Washington's always good on defense, and they always put DBs in the NFL. And again, we round out the bottom with Cal, Washington State, Stanford, Arizona and Colorado. I've already taken the under 4 games of Colorado. I don't think Colorado can win 4 games. If you take a look at their schedule, I just don't see them winning 4.
They're just that bad?
It's their schedule.
Will it be worse than Arizona?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, Arizona is going to make some moves. Oof. And they're going to be a lot better.
Wow.
Than Colorado.
Colorado doesn't even play a cupcake.
I told you.
Their non-conference are good teams.
I told you. It's not that they're that bad. It's just they play everybody.
They don't got an AMM.
There's no break.
We got no subletters.
No. There's no FCS. It's nothing. You got TCU,
Air Force, which is Air Force. At Air Force. You don't mess with.
You got to stop the option.
The military is crazy.
And that quarterback, again, I'm very high on them.
Minnesota, which was good last year on the road. Ooh.
UCLA at home, good. Arizona, California, Oregon State.
I mean, the only win is Arizona, right? Maybe.
And
it's on the road. Maybe.
Again, you're playing at their house, so I'm gonna give that toss up to Arizona. They got Cal at home.
I'm jumping on this under too.
We'll see how California works out. They play Arizona State at home, Oregon, and that's it.
Look at everybody the last 4 games.
Everybody at home is tough except for Arizona State. So again, I've taken the under. I don't think they sniff 4 games.
Looks like 2 maybe.
So that is my deep dive. 4? I think it came down from 4.5. I couldn't get it at 4.5.
4.5.
So 4.5 is a given. 4.5 is a given. But again,
4 at least we push.
I think you push. I think at worst case scenario you push. I could be wrong, but I think you push here. Sadly, they're just bad.
Oh man,
they're bad, and they've got the toughest schedule imaginable.
Yeah, that is bad.
So, like I said, I wanted to touch up on them because I wanted to give everybody out there, if you can get them at 4, take them. Because
here's a freebie, guys. Take the under on Colorado.
I think that they're just not gonna be able to do anything. And that does it for our Pac-12 coverage. Nice. We're gonna take another short break.
And when we come back, your specialty, sir, MMA talk. Give us a few. We'll be right back. And we're back to finish this up with the MMA talk. This is all Gil. He knows this inside and out. I'm just a little fly on the wall, just soaking everything in and taking it in because I learned so much from this man. Please tell me what's coming up this week that I need to know.
Well, this weekend, again, is Usman and Edwards 2. Should be a great fight. We were just discussing, and I was looking at the fight, the main event itself, and I showed the Grizz my list of fighters, and one of the first guys I've ever had is Leon Edwards, because I saw him fight a few years ago, and I've always been impressed with how good he fights. He's a well-rounded fighter, does a great job on his feet as well as grappling. And I also went down and looked at the names that he's fought in, and I reviewed the fight with Usman a little bit, and that's the last fight that guy has lost.
7 years.
Since 2015.
Wow.
It's the last fight that he has lost. And he has fought some of the best guys in mixed martial arts. So again, he's no slouch. I also wanted to take a look at it because I was looking at age, because I think that age is something that is important in this fight game. And I also took a look at Kamaru Usman, and Usman was also one of the guys that I had tagged as a person that was going to win and be where he's at. He's 35 years old. And the Grizz and I were discussing here. And I do feel that I think I'm going to go ahead and take Leon Edwards and sprinkle a little something on this fight. At plus 300 or better, ooh. I think you're getting great odds. It's a value bet.
Not every day you get plus 300 on a guy that hasn't lost in 7 years.
He's 19-3. The last guy who lost to was Kamaru Usman in a decision.
He's lost 2 decisions and he's been disqualified. So the man has never been stopped. You have to take him the whole way if you want to win, if that. So this is not going to be a walk in the park.
I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's his opportunity now to step and become a champion. As good as Usman is, I think the fight is very even. I've always respected Usman in his grappling. I have noticed the last 2 or 3 fights, he's grappling less and less and relying a little bit more on his power moves and punching. I think that's where Leon Edwards could be able to have a better chance to fight, get away, get a couple pops in, get something going, and be able to upset the champion.
We are talking about a champion that has not lost in 9 years himself, has only lost once.
Correct.
However,
Correct.
Sometimes you just do.
Like I said, I'm a big Usman guy. I'm one of the guys that always liked him. I called it out when he was going to beat Woodley. This has been one of my favorite divisions. I knew when Woodley was going to beat Lawler. So again, this is one division that thankfully I've been very, very keen on. I like the division. I really know the fighters. And as I said, Leon Edwards is one of my guys that I've had pegged for years. At these odds, I can't say no. There's no guarantees. Like we always say, there are no guarantees. But at this price, it's a nice price to take him as such a big underdog.
I will say this. There is one guarantee. Kids, do your homework. Because this man wrote him down. First, I saw it. He showed it to me. First name he had written down when he took MMA seriously. And my man already knows. And that's why I had to tell Gil, once you sprinkle, put a little something for me. Because I got to go deep with the Gil. But Gil, please, discuss something that we love about the UFC. It's not always about the main event. There are actually other fighters that are worth a damn.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. The next fight, again, and I have no real money inclination. I just want to see where this fight go is Paulo Costa against Rockhold. These are two guys that, in my opinion, are on the way down. They're fighting each other. They've both lost their last 2 or 3 fights.
What we like to call a legacy fight?
I guess so. I don't know how much of a legacy they really have. Rockhold has a little bit more of a legacy than Costa does.
Finish off better.
So, again, we're going to see if Rockhold is smart. He tries to stay away and takes Costa to 3 rounds. Costa gasses out. He's super muscular. So he's one of those guys that gasses out after the second and a half round. So from 2 and beyond, 2.5, 250 of the second round and forwards, Costa starts gassing out. Rockhold, though, does get knocked out. So that's something to look at. That's going to be like that. Jose Aldo, or Jose as they like to call him, he's a legend. This is one of his toughest fights. He's going to fight Merab Devalishvili. I had to make sure I got the pronunciation right.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is, and then some. It's pretty disgusting.
Is he into that type of a fight?
I don't know. But again, he is one of the better fighters. He is the favorite in this fight. But this is another fight that's going to be a great fight. I never count Aldo out.
He might be on his way down, but he will give you what he gives you.
I'll be honest with you. If the odds were a little more, I would take him. If they were giving me 150, I would take something on Aldo because Aldo's always worth a shot. He really is. He has resurrected his career over the last 3 or 4 fights. Mm-hmm. He's another one of those guys that's a good grappler, good fighter. So again, he's going to give you all he's got. So again, that's another great fight to watch. If you're into watching, let me see. No, that's not him. I thought that was a fighter that drinks out of the shoe, but no, it's Marvin Tibur.
He got smacked up against
Romanov. Again, that's another big boy fight. We'll see how that goes. It's a heavyweight fight. Those are always interesting. Romanov is the favorite, the big favorite. Tibura does have some heavy blows. So that's another one of those fights to watch because it's going to be interesting. The card is again, another one of those good cards, top to bottom. They don't really have anybody in the bottom that I could tell you to take. Albazi's a great fighter, but he is minus 470. And the other guys, I really don't have much on them.
The beauty of this is the people you don't even know will give you some of the best fights.
And that's why I like the undercard so much.
They're looking to get their names in there.
And that's why I said, those of you that are really into MMA, and I was talking to you a little bit off air, the Dana White Contender Series, if you have ESPN Plus, it's on. It's every Tuesday night. If you don't get to see it Tuesday night, they have the replays on there. You can watch the replays. and you get to see these guys, these young fighters, guys and girls, men and women that are the up and comers, and that's how you're able to.
Yeah, these are the
circle
stars
a name,
for the next 5 years.
Write down a name.
You too can write your first
You
name.
can write
watch
down
this
it.
and be
That's
like,
it right there.
I saw this guy coming or this lady.
Write it down and say this one right here. He's got a shot. I like him. So.
I mean, we talked about this, like I said, off air. Our producer was infatuated with how this MMA is going. What a genius Dana White is. It's just become year-round. You might get your big MMA card, pay-per-view a month, but you have weekly little pay-per-views, and then you have the ones that are free. You're in.
And the Contender Series, again, is every week on Tuesday night.
You're in the rotation.
COVID was a blessing.
No
a blessing to this sport.
League, like,
nobody else took a shot.
Went farther because of this.
Nobody else took a shot.
But even then, I think they would have ended up becoming this anyway because of the mind of, hey, we got to be in the limelight 24/7.
Dana White made money selling it.
Yep.
Because he sold this business and he's been making money promoting it.
Because they sold it and like, stick around
I'll
because
run.
you're still
I'll
good.
run
man.
it. You want me to run it? No problem. Give me a few million.
No problem.
Give me a few million more a year. I'll run it. That does it for us. We do want to give a shout out.
You give it out to them.
To General Carnitas Meats.
Always get your carnita.
Please make sure we have our summer special going, summer 20% off of everything on the website. Get your orders. Get your sausage. Get your meats.
Very important. Hey, right now, football season's around the corner, guys. This is the time you need your meat.
Start getting them.
Come on.
Throw it on the barbecue. Get ready. The kickoff is right around the corner.
And for that, we are out. Hopefully, we get our boy Mr. Morales back soon. We're cheering him on from the sides. Hopefully, he becomes one of the greatest coaches we've ever known. Maybe not, but we will hopefully get him back next week. We got one more week before college starts, and then NFL in a couple weeks, and then we're ready to go, guys. This is what we do.
The deep dive will be back next week.
The dive starts next week?
Next week. We got week zero. Week zero, baby. We got some games for you.
Notepads, get them out.
On the 27th, we got 2 or 3 games.
Get them out and open up a savings account. So we're going to make you rich, guys. All right, we're out. 2 coaches, 1 Grizz. Later.